Hello and welcome to this new blog post where we will focus on the S in ESG, IT applications and occupational health. So here I prepared a short agenda. First we will have a look at what S in ESG means. Then we will have a look at the climate crisis and how it affects human health. Then we check out how IT can help. I do a short demo and then we close with a summary. So let's get started. The S in ESG. What does it mean? Well, if you search around, you will find a lot of terms, definitions, and so on. Here are some of them. So it deals with inequality, labor relations, human capital, communities. Then some other documents that I found, they make a differentiation between social capital, human capital, that is further broken down by things such as labor practices, employee health and safety. And then you find a lot of buzzwords like diversity and inclusion, fair pay, education, flexible working hours, employee turnover, and so on and so forth. And of course, there are also reporting standards such as GRI 403 or the European Sustainability Reporting Standards. And because that's really a broad field that needs to be covered, I said, okay, for this post I want to focus on occupational health and safety. Now, after making this decision, I said, okay, what are the effects of the climate crisis on human health? And here I found a nice graphic from the WHO, which says, okay, hey, we will get an increase in extreme weather events. There will be heat stress. The air quality will get worse. The water quality will get worse. Food security. And all of these things will be impacted, especially for those who are already vulnerable. Elderly people, young people, people that have some diseases. And this will also have an influence on leadership, corporate governance, on corporate finance, because we might to invest something, to deal with these health-related risks. And some of them you already know, some diseases that will increase from mosquitoes or heat-related illnesses, respiration problems, malnutrition, all of these are possible effects. And I say, okay, for this post, we focus on heat-related illness. I will explain you shortly why. And the why is because I found a couple of studies that try to analyze what are the number of people that die because of heat stress. So, as an example, here the first table, this shows you the number of people that died in Germany because of heat waves. So if you say in the year 2020, 10,000 people die usually, that's what you would expect, then you would have a total number of 13,700. So 3,700 people die in addition to what can be expected because of the heat waves. There are some similar studies for the US that also show that until the end of the century there will be an increase in the number of people that die from heat. And then there is this study that makes a comparison of the different global warming scenarios. So if you do not know what this abbreviation mean, then have a look at my previous posts. And what they're doing is they say basically, okay, if we curb the global warming to less than 2 degrees, well, then the areas here that are in red, they will see a large number of days where people cannot live outside. So if the temperature is between 2 to 3 degrees, more areas will be affected, and if the global warming is in this area, then basically all the countries around the equator will be affected. And this number of days above the death days threshold, this is basically a kind of limit that this study found where people cannot survive outside without any technical help. Why? Because the natural cooling system of our body, our sweat, and drinking water is not enough to cool the body down to remove all of the heat from the body. So if you do not stay inside, if you do not get at least a break from this heat, then people will basically die. So how can IT help? Well, before we dig into that, that's the threshold that this study found. So what does it say? You see here the average daily temperature and here the average daily humidity that this study analyzed. And they say, okay, for example, if you are living around the equator, in Indonesia or Malaysia or somewhere in South America, where you have a lot of humidity, so 80% humidity, and a temperature that goes above 30 or more, then the likelihood that you will die is high. For countries in the north, so like in Germany or Scandinavian countries, where you have lower humidity, the temperature can be higher, but also here above 40 degrees it's getting dangerous and deadly. And with this kind of information, I said, okay, if I know that, then I can use IT to help. How? Well, I said, okay, let's get a weather station that allows me to extract the data via IoT. And I got this one. And what you see here is the indoor and outdoor temperature and the indoor and outdoor humidity. And that's exactly what we found in this study. So based on these numbers, if you have these numbers, then you can define whether it's getting dangerous for your employees or worker or not. Of course, assuming that they're mainly working outside and not that they are office workers that sit in an office with an air condition. But with this information and this tool set that allows me to create an application key and API key and the documentation that allows me to get the data here through an HTTP call, I can then use Power Automate to define whether there is a risk for my employees or not. So how did I do that? Well, there are a lot of steps here, but I highlight you the key ones, because the other ones are mainly conversions. So first, with this one, I grab the outdoor temperature and humidity, and with this one, I grab the indoor humidity and temperature. And I grab this not for the current time when the flow runs, but as an average value for the last 3 hours. So here I have timestamps that define this time frame, and then I calculate the average for the last 3 hours to see if it's getting dangerous or not. Then I have here in the middle the conditions, and this one is based on the study. You say, okay, if the outdoor temperature is above, let's say 30 degrees and humidity is above 80%, and inside it's getting also too hot, then you can say, okay, then I need to do something. If the temperatures and humidity is below, then there's nothing that you need to do. No worries. But if it's getting above those thresholds, then I say, okay, then I want to inform my doctor. Send him an adaptive card and let him decide what to do. For example, ask for an additional break, ask for some special ice cream or drinks that need to be ordered to cool down my people, to make sure that they feel good and safe. And based on that, I say, okay, depending on what the doctor decides, I either inform my management, for example, because you might need to stop the work immediately to avoid that your people are endangered, or you order something. So this one is here a connector to my ERP system where I say, okay, order some free drinks or something else. What helps to make your people and worker more comfortable during the heat wave. And that's something I would like to show you in my demo system how this works. Okay, I'm starting here in the Sustainability Manager. And I made a small adjustment for the sustainability action. So basically this is a custom page that I included, and it does not do many things. It basically gives a description of the study, says, okay, depending on the weather conditions, I send out a message to our doctors who have to make an assessment, and then depending on their decision, I will either send an email or order something. But the whole process is basically started by clicking on this button here, and this triggers a flow. And the flow will then grab the temperature from outside. It will make an assessment, is it above the threshold or not. And for my demo example, I lowered the thresholds, so they are not in line with the study, just because in my area or region it's currently not that hot and humid. So you can see here the outdoor temperature, the humidity, and the indoor temperature and humidity for the last 3 hours. And now the doctor can make a decision. He says, okay, I need an additional break for the people to make sure that they are safe. So you submit that, and as a result, the manager should get an email. So you can hear that or see that already here, saying, hey, please make sure that there's an additional break. Now, if we go back and run this step again, so let's open this page again. So I start again with the same process. I start the flow, but this time I want to make a different decision to show you the integration into the ERP system. So that you're not only relying on the Sustainability Manager and Microsoft Office applications, but that you can also integrate into Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management or any other ERP system that you have. So let's say the doctor says, okay, give free drinks to your employees to make sure they resist the heat. And what will happen here is a new purchase requisition will be created here in my ERP system. So currently we have number 1502, and if I refresh that and after waiting a bit, we should see here a new one. This one was just created by the Power Automate flow that was used for this example. Okay, so that's basically the whole process of this dangerous working conditions and how IT can help with that. Now let's dig a bit deeper into the Power Automate flow and how it is working. So I open it here. The trigger is of course here the button that I use in the Sustainability Manager, and then here I take the timestamp. So I said, okay, take the current time, and then the time 3 hours ago. Why? Because I want to have the average for the last 3 hours. Then I have here variables for the temperature, humidity, and a counter. And then here on the right hand side I have the same for indoor. So on the right hand side is indoor, on the left hand side is outdoor. You see a delay of 15 seconds. Why? Because I cannot directly shoot twice at this connection. Otherwise I will just run into an error. And what you see here is basically the API with the different keys that I have, and with the logins that I do not share here. But with this information and the documentation that I have. So here's the documentation, how you get the historical data. So it's pretty easy. It's this API key, and then you have different elements or parameters that you can include. So that's used here. and then I put the from and the to time to get the data. Then I hold the whole thing, convert it, and calculate the averages. That's what is done here. Then I have the average outdoor temperature, the average outdoor humidity, and the same for the indoor thing. And then the key thing is this one here. This condition, and of course this one is something that I adjusted because the temperatures at the moment, as I'm recording this, they are not high enough to get into this dangerous zone. So I adjusted this because I want to show you what happens if we come to the yes pass. And then an adaptive card is sent, and based on the decision, so for example, if the doctor says, okay, we make a break or we make a stop, then I send an email to the company or HR manager. And if he says, okay, we make we order free drinks, then I create a record here in the purchase requisitions. I just said, okay, the purchase requisition headers. I did not say, okay, order a specific kind of drink or ice cream or something. That's up to the purchasing managers what to do. So that's the whole process, how this works, and how you can integrate environmental considerations in your daily business processes. Let's go back now to my PowerPoint for some important remarks at the end. Okay, so after this demo, let's have a look at the summary that I want to provide you. First thing is, what is the expected global warming that we can expect based on the implemented policies that we see? So this graphic is from the IPCC, from the last report, and they say, okay, if we just continue with the things that we implemented so far, we end up here in this area. So between 2.5 and 3.5 degrees Celsius of global warming. What does this mean? Well, if you remember the pictures that I showed you before, we basically end up in this zone. Where some areas, South America, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, they will not be inhabitable anymore, meaning that people cannot live outside without any technical help. Because just drinking will not cool down your body enough to make sure that you will survive a heat wave. Here's another graphic also from this study here, where you see the results for Jakarta and New York, and what global warming according to these models means. So if we expect the worst case scenario, then you see here in Indonesia you cannot stay outside permanently without any technical help to survive. So in other words, you need air conditioning or something else to make sure that you have sufficient cooling. And here also 54 to 74% of the human population will be exposed to deadly climates by the end of the century if we follow these two paths. So if we do not curb the global warming to 2 degrees or less, which would be this scenario, then we face this issue. If we face it, what can we do? Well, in the short term, make sure that your people have sufficient breaks and drink enough. That's what I showed you with this example. The other things that you can do is, of course, you can make sure that you implement air conditioners everywhere if you have not already done so. Of course, that's bad for the climate. It even heats the environment, costs money, but it protects your people. And of course, develop a heat and climate adjustment plan. Train your people. Maybe you might need to introduce flex time, where people start very early in the morning and then have a longer break over the very hot time of the day and then start again at night or something. So you have to be flexible with that. And also provide training. Here are some pictures of air conditioners. That is a picture that should illustrate that something like the planning of your people, project planning, scheduling of the people will get more complex if you see these different heat conditions. And then of course please train your people to make them aware. Yeah? Especially if they work outside. For the longer term, of course, you can make your buildings greener. Yeah? Saves energy, is good for the climate, but costs money. Maybe if you can, and if this is a possibility, offer free job tickets for public transportation, and engage in environmental projects. So here are some ideas what you can do in the longer term. And yeah, as usual, thanks a lot for watching and listening. And if you have comments or remarks or additional ideas, what can be done in the short and longer term, please put it in the comment section or send me an email. So thanks a lot, and then till next time.